The past 24 hours, we have been working hard with other countries to narrow the search corridors. Our focus is on 4 tasks: gathering information from satellite surveillance, analysis of surveillance radar data, increasing air and surface assets, and increasing the number of technical and subject matter experts.
Malaysian authorities still at a loss to provide an explanation for the disappearance of Flight 370. But the government is now investigating the possibility that the aircraft avoided radar detection and landed in Pakistan. Dismissed the idea that a Boeing 777 could land undetected inside the country, but promised to work with the Malaysian government in its search for the missing plane. The Langley Intelligence Group network, Lignet, received information from a source close to Boeing that the company believes the plane did in fact land in Pakistan. But so far, satellite images of the area have yet to discover any trace of the 7,500-foot runway. And Pakistan has many of them, meaning that Flight 370 could conceivably be hidden in a hangar inside the country. For now, though, the pilot remains the focus of the investigation. We welcome you back to America's Forum. I'm J.D. Hayworth.
And I'm John Bachman. So many questions remain here, J.D. This sounds like it would be entirely impossible, but then you think about where Osama bin Laden was for 10 years inside Pakistan, with the eyes of the world looking for him, not showing up until we went in there and got him. So got a lot to talk about this one.
And we are joined now via Skype by Chief Lignet Analyst Fred Flietz. Fred, welcome back to America's Forum. And this story, when we heard about this earlier today, you've highlighted it on your website, and we've been talking about it. Trace this back for us. Exactly who is saying what about a 777 ending up in Pakistan?
Well, J.D. and John, it's good to be here. Let me caution that we can't confirm this information, but we believe it is a piece of information that needs to be taken seriously. This information was obtained by a Lignet analyst who used to work for the CIA Director of Operations, and he has a source who spoke to someone inside of Boeing, and according to his source, Boeing engineers believe this airplane landed somewhere in Pakistan.
Now, as we hear this, as fantastic as it sounds, what evidence can you analyze that might lend credence to this theory, Fred?
Well, there's very little evidence, but if we were to accept this at face value, it would be consistent with reports right now that this was a hijacking, and it was a hijacking that had a great deal of planning and technical know-how. It now appears that the change in the plane's heading was made by someone who had a very sophisticated understanding of how to reset the plane and how to turn off the navigational beacons. Does this indicate that the person who did this had the technical know-how to fly the plane to Pakistan and avoid numerous radar systems by various countries? I mean, some experts think that that is a stretch, but if that's the case, this report is consistent with that line of argument.
All right, and Fred, of course, you're a former CIA analyst, so you have some experience in this field of taking bits of information like this and extrapolating on what they could mean. Of course, you know, Pakistan has an adversarial relationship with the United States, you know, if not officially, unofficially. Is there any reason to believe that the Pakistani government, if this is true, would know about it and turn the other way just to ignore it? Or is this in an area of the country that is so remote that the Taliban has total control and autonomy to do something like this?
Well, it's hard to see how this airplane could penetrate Pakistani and probably Indian airspace without being seen. I mean, the Pakistan government presumably would not be in on the hijacking of this plane, and their aviation authorities would be alarmed if they saw a plane this large flying over their airspace without being detected. It's technically possible this plane flew low enough that it wasn't detected, but there's other experts who dismiss that possibility.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, we take a look at this, a huge plane, but how low would it have to go to escape radar detection, Fred?
Well, I don't have the background to give that judgment, but what I have read from other experts is that they're divided. Some think it's possible. Some say this is a flying bus that would be impossible to evade from the radar detection of countries like India and Pakistan.
Fred, one other question about this. While we have been mentioning the Taliban prominently, given the geopolitical realities in Pakistan, there are other organizations conceivably who could have a hand in this. Who else might have something to do with this?
Well, it sounds like a terrorist operation that could have been launched by the Taliban or maybe by Iran. I mean, this would be if this is really a terrorist operation that brought a civilian airliner into Pakistan, this would have taken a great deal of money and planning. This looks like core al-Qaeda. This looks like Iran, if that's what happened.
Yeah, no, you mentioned core al-Qaeda, Fred, and one thing I know we talked about in the past is that there remains this obsession with aircraft-based terrorism within the core of al-Qaeda. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it's pretty clear that al-Qaeda is taking steps to get around the extensive aviation security measures that have been taken since 2001. We've seen this with the underwear bomber. There was a package bomb, a bomb hidden inside a printer cartridge that was sent from Yemen to London to the United States. We almost got to the United States. It's possible, theoretically possible, that they found a new hole in the security net for this incident.
And Fred, keeping with that theme, you know, there is that al-Qaeda-sponsored magazine, Inspire, that in its latest issue is calling for renewed attacks here in America, car bombs, a variety of different things to instill terror. And when we take a look at the involvement here, what would have to happen to take over this plane? It seems that asymmetrical warfare goes out the window in terms of maximizing casualties and having an incident that would, well, inspire terror. Is it possible these groups have turned the page away from asymmetrical terrorism to a form of air piracy?
I don't think they ever dropped their interest in air piracy and taking over aircraft. I think they're interested in asymmetrical attacks, but they continue to probe for vulnerabilities. They may have found that aviation security at Malaysian airports were weak. They may have found that this is an airline where the cockpit door is not always secure, and we've heard a number of reports about that. I think al-Qaeda and other radical Islamists are opportunistic. They'll take any opportunity they can to launch a terrorist attack against the West.
And with that in mind, Fred, Lignet also reporting today that Israel is especially wary of a commercial jetliner type attack at this point in time?
Israel is always concerned about incidents like this, and if this plane is in Pakistan, which I have to say I don't think that's likely, but I don't discount this report by the Boeing source. I think Israel's taking it very seriously and knowing that if this plane is going to be used as a weapon, they would probably be the target.
All right, Fred, thanks for your insight. We got to run here. And the other thing we got to ask is, where are the passengers if this scenario is true? Unlikely, as Fred said, but something we got to consider without any real concrete evidence out there.
Well, the mystery continues to mystify all of us and leads to so many different scenarios.
Sure,
this especially intriguing, coming from Lignet.com.
Absolutely. Make sure you check it out. We want to hear from you. What do you think about this theory? Is it any more plausible than the rest of them out there? Reach out to us on social media. You can find us at Newsmax TV. Hashtag America's Forum on Twitter. Connect at NewsmaxTV.com is the email address. And on Facebook, Facebook.com/Newsmax TV. Stay with us. We'll have much more on the show coming up, including some of your comments later on.
What you